I said that to you.
Oh, right. And then we had another one on the It movie.
Sorry. No, you did send me that. Yeah,
oh, right.
That's right.
You had another one for Cinderella Man?
Cinderella Man, yes, which I've not seen.
I've not seen.
The only thing I know about Cinderella Man is that the de facto villain of the piece, Max Baer, his family successfully sued the makers of the film Cinderella Man for defamation. That's the only thing that I know about it.
Well, is he like a real-life person alive now?
So the two main guys in it, Gentleman Jim Braddock, Russell Crowe's character, the titular Cinderella Man.
Yes.
He's the hero of the piece, and then Max Baer, the German heavyweight champion. I think they're both dead now. Max Baer certainly is, hence why his family sued the makers and not him. I think Jim Braddock's dead now as well. Possibly both before the film came out. I don't know. But no, real life story. Basically, Cinderella Man is the real life Rocky. He was a bum, he was a nobody, and the world champ gave him a shot at the title.
And then, so they made a villain for the movie, so they picked a guy, and now the family is like, hang on.
Well, so this guy Max Baer, he's German. I think it was in the 50s or 60s, so post-war hangover still a bit.
He wasn't Sieg-heiling in the locker room.
No, he wasn't. But even at the time, like the American press would have been like, dastardly German, and he was kind of this. He was a wrecking machine, and it's very much kind of the impervious Ubermensch destroying all before him. But he did kill a guy in the ring, Max Baer. He actually killed a fella in the ring, and I believe in the movie the way they're presenting it is like as he's going to fight the Cinderella Man. He's basically cutting a promo on him, going like, I have killed a man before, and I will kill you, Cinderella Man, right? Like, that kind of shit, right?
That's pretty awful.
In reality, Max Baer, went in the ambulance to the hospital with the guy and was haunted by his death for decades, and, wept at his bedside as he died in his arms. So his family were like, all right, we're going to sue you for defamation for being like, I'm glad that I killed the puny American. And, Can I just say
that's really heartwarming? Like, you're a trained professional to basically beat the ever-living daylights out of people, and then you accidentally hurt somebody so badly that you go with them to the hospital and you cry as they're lying in a hospital bed. That's actually quite
No, it is it's kind of that whole it is that whole weird dichotomy that boxing always has, where it's like these two guys are here to hurt each other, but there is a level of respect within that we who have never been in the ring can never really understand. It's like, I'm willing to batter you within an inch of your life, but my God, at the other end of it, I will respect you so much more. It is a weird thing. But
have you seen Creed?
I haven't seen Creed, because I was initially put off by Michael B. Jordan being in it, because he gets right on my tits.
Why is that?
I just find him really irritating. I don't know what it is. When you must have some actors who are just like, this fucking guy. And he, in fairness to Michael B. Jordan, I am basing him mainly on the Fantastic Four movie, and that's not fair.
I haven't seen that. That just looked awful. I just steered away clear of that.
I mean, I thought it was awful, and then I watched it, and it was awful. And he was awful in it. But
it's like you don't listen to your senses telling you things.
It was just on telly one night. I don't know. He irritates me.
But Michael B. Jordan, I assure you, Creed is legit good. There's a reason why Sylvester Stallone got that Oscar nomination or Oscar, one of the two.
Yeah, you got nommed, I think. Yeah, everyone's assured me it's dead good. Everyone I've spoken to is like, it is dead good. But
I promise you, he won't get on your tits. That's what.
No, so sitting when it came out and that, I didn't watch it because he got on my tits. Since then, everyone said to me it's dead good, and now I'm waiting for it to come on the TV and then I'll watch it. It's on Sky Movies all the time, but I don't have Sky Movies, so.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm waiting for it. It's not. I'm not gonna go out my way to watch it. But I will see it eventually, kind of.
No, but it does have a degree of that, like a respectable opponent in the ring with the bad guy who's an actual British boxer, by the way.
Who was it? I didn't know this at the time.
I didn't know him, and suddenly he's like, pit, I'm like, hang on.
I used to be a very casual boxing fan, and I remember he was cast at the time. I was like, it's fucking that guy. Who was it? Was it Nathan Cleverly?
Pretty Ricky?
Who was it? Oh, Tony Bellew.
Oh, I think his name might be Pretty Ricky in the film then.
Right, okay, maybe. Is he like a Scouse type?
Yeah.
Talks very fast.
Yeah.
He's the world heavyweight champion now.
Wow.
There you go.
That's basically where were we going? Nicolas Cage films.
If you want, yeah, we can get back on Nicolas Cage.
I don't know. It's Ian McKellen. That's it.
You should have made notes.
I went into this rather blindly today because I was a little pissed off because I was trying to come up with something good to open up with, like
some kind of hook.
Why do the Japanese turn animals into fuckable women, and why have you ever heard?
Don't burn the material. There's still hope.
I'm gonna find something similar and open up the conversation like that. But instead of that, we spoke about hairdressing.
Yeah, we did.
I failed you, and I failed the concept.
When you're casting a pod, these things happen.
So yeah, speaking of Ian McShane was in one episode of Game of Thrones. He was in one episode of Game of Thrones.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah. And then he was like, apparently in an interview he said, "Oh, I'm happy to do Game of Thrones because I get to see my good friend Charles Dance."
Charlie, fuck's sake.
Then he was told, No,
you won't be seeing him.
you won't be seeing him. Why not? Because you're not filming in the same area. Plus, Charles Dance has been dead for 2 seasons. Well,
spoilers if anyone listening to this doesn't watch the TV show.
I'll
read the books.
Come on, it's like season 3.
It's about 10 years old now.
Season 3 is when Charles Dance dies. If you're just now getting into Game of Thrones and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe you just spoiled that. We're now in season 7.
I mean, and how old the book?
I don't know. The books are quite old.
Must be about 10 years old, that book.
Did you know that George R.R. Martin got his inspiration of Anybody Can Die off of the Avengers comic books?
No. I did not know that at all, actually.
Oh, and as the listeners may or may not know, we are slight comic buffs. We're not the most encyclopedic, a big word involving a lot of words. We're not the biggest sources of knowledge about comic books, but we know quite a bit. So when I say the Avengers, what do you think of the lineup? Think of anybody.
What, do you want me to just name an Avenger?
Yeah, name a popular lineup of the Avengers that you can think of.
Well, just try to stick to the movies, like what with Vision, Spider-Man, I guess.
Vision, Spider-Man. In the beginning you had Thor, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Wasp.
Yeah.
And was that it? And the Hulk in the beginning, right? So then Hulk left, and then we got Hawkeye, Quicksilver, whatnot. And then at one point, we got Wonder Man. And Wonder Man appeared in one issue, and then he died at the end of the issue.
Does he really?
That's where George R.R. Martin got the entire shocking swerve kill off a popular character idea from.
What, from Wonder Man?
And anyone who's ever read comics knows that Wonder Man has got frequent fucking flyer miles when it comes to dying and resurrecting. If you ever want to look at a comic book and be like, well, this is why people say comic book deaths are cheap, it's because of fucking Wonder Man. He shows up in his fucking first issue, he dies, he comes back a couple of times, then he dies again, and then Scarlet Witch brings him back in the 90s, and then he dies again, and then in the 2000s they say, well, he's been dead all along, because Scarlet Witch never really brought him back, and now he's alive again, but dead. But what the fuck?
There is a night... Well, it was when the retcon didn't be dead all along, was it House of M?
No, that came afterwards.
Okay. Anyway, no, I was going to say there is, for any listeners that are slightly confused by that, who don't like, there is a more sort of readily available cultural touchstone. Basically, Wonder Man is Yamcha. Yeah?
Yes.
Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. Wonder Man's here.
Boom. Oh no, Wonder Man's dead! Oh, Yamcha's in the new Dragonball Z fighter. Dragon Fighter Z? What's it called?
Dragonball FighterZ?
Yeah, that's it. He's in the new one. And the development team on Twitter is having a field day with it. Like, oh my god, watch out! Here comes the Wolf Fist! Anybody who's listening who doesn't know, there's a new Dragon Ball Z fighter game coming out, and it looks just like the anime from back in the day. It looks sleek, so polished, and every attention to detail is like, this actually happened in the show once. And Yamcha is in it, and on Twitter they're just going like, oh look, here's Yamcha after fighting off several Cybermen. And he's just lying in that ditch.
That was my cover photo on Facebook for about a year. Poor Yamcha. I like it. Yamcha's cool.
Yamcha is cool, but he never had anything to do in Dragon Ball Z.
That's really all he had. Being dead cool.
When you first see him in Dragon Ball, it's like, here's this outlaw, and he always robs people, and he's deadly afraid of women, and that's funny. That's hilarious.
Is he a pro ball player at that point, or does that come later?
Oh, that's Dragon Ball Z, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Dragon Ball Z shows up, and he's like, I'll fight a Cyberman. And then he explodes, and they're like, this is how serious the Cybermen are. And then Krillin kills all of them.
People make fun of Yamcha. You know what? He got to play pro ball. He got to shag Bulma. He's doing all right. He's doing all right. All right. Even if he'd not been brought back after that first Cyberman-based death, he lived a life.
He did have a decent life, and in the end, he gave it to defend the Earth from invading aliens. You can't really say, like, oh, well, what a fucking pussy.
No. It is a sneak attack as well, isn't it? As I recall, he does beat Cyberman, and then one jumps him from behind and
he turns around and the thing is not quite dead, and it's like, that's
it's self-destruct. Who fucking saw that coming? Yamcha gets a bad rep.
He does get a bad rep. Favourite Dragon Ball Z character, or Dragon Ball character anyway?
Mine was always Vegeta.
Vegeta? Mine was Piccolo.
Always. Piccolo was probably a close second. I was always really fond of Tien.
Yeah, Tien is pretty solid as well. I think Piccolo and Vegeta are very similar because they...
Yeah, absolutely. Gruff-voiced anti-hero types.
Because Piccolo basically served the role of Vegeta until basically the Namek saga where he had been dead.
Yeah, no, they've got almost the exact same arc.
Yeah.
Right down to I am the last of my kind bullshit. Like, they've got almost the exact same story arc.
And apparently they're treating Vegeta quite good in Super as well. Have you been watching Super?
Nah. My mate has been watching it. Apparently it's dead good.
I'll watch it at one point, but not just now. Apparently they're treating Vegeta quite well. Like, he's still developing as a character, whereas...
Well, I think they know the audience they're playing to now. I think most people who grew up sort of in the 2000s and the 90s watching that, Vegeta was... If you did a fan poll, I think most people would say Vegeta was their fave. So... They probably know the audience now, sort of, because it seems to be marketed at kind of people in their early 20s, doesn't it? It's that sort of thing.
Yeah, it must be.
Mid-20s. And I think those people are like, oh yeah, Vegeta was cool when I was a kid, so they're probably marketing that deliberately too then. But yeah, what I was going to say, Piccolo though, it was so egregious. Even at the time I thought this, when I was in my youth. Because he became so quickly outmoded because of the Saiyans, but he was such a cool character, they weren't willing to kill him off. I just keep finding more and more inventive ways to give him these power boosts in order to keep him relevant. He fuses with Nail. He fuses with Kami. He just gets this magic power. I just keep getting really, really inventive and making him... here's a quick boost for Piccolo. Although there wasn't really... Dragon Ball Z wasn't good at doing this thing though, where it would set up a big villain and then a lesser character, basically anyone that wasn't Goku, would come in and stand toe-to-toe with them, and you'd be going, this is fucking amazing, oh my god,
my god!
And Piccolo's big moment was when Cell killed about 3 towns worth of people, and then Piccolo turns up and fucking wrecks him. It's like, oh my god, Piccolo's a badass.
That fight with 17, it's still one of my favourite Dragon Ball Z fights.
That's bad. Yeah, with fight with 17. 17 is the black-haired android?
Yes, is the boy.
The androgynous male with the nice earrings.
Apparently based on Michael Jackson.
I can see it.
And 18 was based on Madonna, despite the fact they look exactly the same.
I can't see it. Who was 16 based on then?
Not quite sure, but...
No one.
In universe, he was based on Dr. Giro's son.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Which is outside information, which is only confirmed through interviews or something like that. So it's it's canon, but not really.
Oh, like Dumbledore being gay.
Yeah, something like that.
Read a different book, fuck's sake.
I implore you all, you Harry Potter fans, read different books. Stop making Harry Potter references.
Have you read the Harry Potter books?
I read the first one for 10 pages, and then I was like, this is like a Roald Dahl book, but not as good.
one of our biggest fans has got Harry Potter tattoo. He's not going to like this.
That's all right, because I'll freely admit that the story's probably got a lot more mature and engaging later on, because the writing style of J.K. Rowling changed and the audience did as well. This is probably more reflected in the films as well with the aging cast, but I wasn't the target for Harry Potter when it first came out.
No, see, I was banging the age range for the Philosopher's Stone.
I watched the first 4 films.
All right.
And then I was like, no, it's not grabbing me anymore.
Yeah. No, so I remember reading the first one in sort of primary school, and I didn't get into the other ones till much later. I think my mum bought me them all for Christmas when I was in kind of my mid to late teens. Maybe when I was about 16 or something. And I read the first 2, Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. Love the Chamber of Secrets. Spooky murder mystery stuff. Great. Scooby-Doo style fun. Lovely. And then in Prisoner of Azkaban, they introduced time travel, and I finished that one, and I was like, I'm never going to read these books again. Because I knew that it wasn't going to be equipped to deal with the time turner being a thing. I was like, you're not going to be able to convince me ever of a good reason why they can't just use the time turner to fix any problem.
They never use it again.
Yeah, and the reason for that is just because Dumbledore said, basically, oh, but you can't. Fucking why? You just use it. Fuck off. Rubbish. And I haven't seen the film. I've read the first 3 books. I've seen the first 2 films. I've almost sort of seen all of the films by osmosis because my mum loves them. And there's been many a time where they've been on, and I've been in the room but not paying attention.
It's hard to avoid, isn't it? Because
it's a bit like how I've never seen The Matrix, and yet I could tell you start to finish the entire plot of The Matrix.
Have you never seen The Matrix?
No, I've never seen it, but just by cultural osmosis, I can tell you right now, start to finish, everything that happens in it. Because I've seen it all in GIF form. It's just the most referenced movie of all time. So. But no, I've never seen it. When I was younger, I just never had an inkling to watch it, really. Like, it looked good, but I didn't really feel a need to. And then when I was in my early to mid-teens, I was a prick. So every time I spoke to somebody and said I haven't seen The Matrix, they'd go, really? And I'd think I was dead interesting for having not seen it. And then, as I got older, I cycled back around to just being like, I don't feel the need to. And now I'm at the point where I know what happens anyway, so what's the point?
Yeah, well, the first one is good, but the rest...
Oh, no, I mean, the first one seems to be, like, genuinely one of the crowning moments of kind of... Was the first one made in, like, 98?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so I was going to say one of the crowning moments of 90s cinema. It does seem like... There's not many films bigger than The Matrix from its era. Maybe like there's like that and Titanic that kind of
The best part about that is, well, not the best part. Great big part about that is the entire red pill, blue pill thing that came on with it.
Yes.
So it's like, take the red pill and I'll show you reality, and take the blue pill and, you can stay in Wonderland.
And now you've got all the...
Then you had like awful people on the internet going like, oh, I've been red pilled and now I know what scummy society is really like.
Yes.
And there's only 2 genders, and there's only a feminist, blah, 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 blah. And my mum forced me diarrhea medicine in a Prozac up my arse, and things like that. And then the 2 directors come out as both trans females.
Yeah. That was fucking weird.
Because,
I mean...
First the one did, and then a couple of years went along, and then it was like, well, we can't call them the Wachowski brothers anymore, so we'll just be the Wachowskis.
The Wachowskis. Yeah, because the Wachowskis were always weird, and then it was like, oh, wait, no, they've somehow found a way to get even weirder. Okay.
And then they both came out as trans, like the second one came along later, and it's like, oh, we'll just keep calling them the Wachowskis.
Because like, not that people who are transgender are weird, but twins that are transgender, that is highly unusual.
It's unlikely, but I can see it, because if you're both technically speaking like a copy of each other, despite the fact that you're still individuals, wouldn't you be similar in train of thoughts as well?
You would think so, especially with all like the weird, because there is like loads of like psychological similarities between twins, which is just unexplainable to science.
Yeah, I can't tell because I've never been a twin. So I do have an evil twin. He's got a red stain on the left cheek.
And no beard.
No beard.
Oh God! Wait, you're the evil twin. Oh. Shit.
So them saying like, oh no, we're happy transsexuals, and now everybody's looking at the film like, is it a metaphor for coming out of the closet?
Probably not.
Probably not, but it's still fun to see.
It's a Buddhist proverb, is it? Proverb? Proverb. It's a Buddhist proverb, isn't it?
What's a proverb?
Isn't it all based around this Buddhist idea of you're only a construct of someone else's imagination and blah blah blah, material possessions? Isn't it something to do with all that shit? That's one reading I've seen of it.
Not sure.
I've not. As I say, mate, I've not seen it.
That's all right. I must say they are visionary directors, and I'm quite jealous of the worlds they managed to.
Have they done anything else?
Loads.
Such as
V for Vendetta.
Oh, was that them?
That was them.
I've not seen it because Alan Moore thought it was shit.
Well, Alan Moore thinks everything
shit
is shit when it's not a comic book. He'll never be happy with any adaptation of his ever.
No, he won't.
Mind you, if you look at the Killing Joke animation they made last year or this year, he has a point there.
I've not got around to watching that yet.
That one is just rubbish.
Yeah. Okay.
Rigga-digga-dig. They made Speed Racer.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that, but it looked amazing. Like the trailers looked. So I haven't ever seen Speed Racer.
But the original cartoon.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I've seen the Dexter's Lab episode based around Speed Racer.
Basically, you know Speed Racer.
Therefore, I feel like I know everything about it. So when the film came out, I was like, "This looks amazing," but I've never seen it.
They
it
speak exactly like they do in that one episode.
I remember the
because it was back in the day when they couldn't afford like video editing, so all the sound had to match the mouth flaps. It was like, "Ha! Here comes the he's not Brother Race Rex! Brother Race! Oh my God!
Beautiful. No, I wanted to watch the Speed Racer movie just to see John Goodman doing that. But,
John Goodman is in it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, John Goodman is dead good.
John Goodman is dead good.
I was about to say,
John Goodman. I love John Goodman.
Okay, cool.
He was in Barton Fink.
I've not seen Barton Fink.
It's very strange. It's very, very weird. But it's cool because it's John Goodman playing a very un-John Goodman role. And it's, do you know John Turturro?
Yes.
The Jesus. He's the lead. And it's cool getting to see him play the lead. Because really I only know him from that one FBI guy in the Transformers movies.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, and the Jesus from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, I knew he was in the Transformers films. I was saying, oh shit, because I just looked up other films the Wachowskis had done, and one of them is Cloud Atlas, which was a creative endeavor, but in the end fell flat. And the other one was Jupiter Ascending, which has gone down as the most mockable film of 2015.
Really? I've never heard of Jupiter Ascending. I've heard of Cloud Atlas, but I don't know what it is.
Cloud Atlas is basically... if the same people got reincarnated throughout history in 1 to 2 to 5 different time sets, I think. And in the book, it basically starts off with a caveman, and then you read about, like, let's say, medieval, and then current day, then future, and then goes back to current day, medieval, caveman. So it's, like, enveloped in, like, a whole, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
The film instead opts to go for like standard like starting period, middle period, current period, future period, and it's got all these great actors like Hugo Weaving and whatnot, but it just doesn't really work. And in the future, we're all ruled by the Asian supermensch. We're all I think the Koreans. I'm not quite sure. I forgot. The Koreans are basically the dominating people on the planet.
Well, could they not quite bring themselves to go China?
I don't know.
Could they not quite bring themselves?
And then you have all these actors who were in the previous set pieces in like kind of yellow face without being really yellow face. And it's like, okay, I see what you're going for, but it doesn't really work. Have you not heard of Jupiter Ascending?
No.
Oh my God. I've avoided that because it just sounded so awful.
They really make actors yellow up and stuff.
I think they use CGI.
That's somehow worse. Seems less authentic. If you're going to
be racist, you might as well just smear that makeup on there.
Yeah, like because at least if you're using makeup, at least they're going to sit in the chair for a couple of hours and get it fucking slapped on their face.
I'm dedicated to this racial stereotype.
Yeah, you're not just going to fucking stick it in post. Do you know what I mean? At that point, you're putting in less effort than Krusty the Clown when he puts his teeth in and fucking picks his fucking...
Like the Mighty Boosh.
What about them?
The Mighty Boosh has a character played by
Rudy Van der Sazio, you're going to mention. The black character. Yeah, played by Julian Barrett. Obviously.
Julian Barrett, that's it.
He blacks up, yeah. So the Mighty Boosh, right, when I was in my teens, kind of passed me by. I had loads of mates that were into it. Sort of passed me by, I'd never seen it. And I used to hear about it all the time, like when I used to buy the Lad mags, they'd always be like, top picks on TV, Mighty Boosh. And I was like, not for me. I'm not bothered. But my mum bought me the live show on DVD one year, right? And I was like, because she was like, oh, it's like what the kids are into. You must like this. And I watched the live show, and I found the Rudy Van der Sazio character hilarious. But because it was live, they didn't have time to black him up because of the costume changes.
Yeah.
So I didn't know he was blacked up at all. And then I loved the live show, loved it for ages, and I was like, right, I'm going to finally watch the TV show. And when Rudy turned up, I was like, fucking hang on now.
I wasn't ready for this.
I was like, what the fuck is this? I had absolutely no idea this was a thing.
This is a very controversial opinion, but I don't mind it at all. It's like, at one point...
I was going to say, do you know what's really odd? Do you know Vic and Bob?
Yeah.
Vic and Bob, right? Go back through their back catalogue. The amount of times that they black up, and it never gets mentioned. It never, ever gets mentioned, ever. And I think they get the same kind of pass that the Mighty Boosh do, where it's like, they're not even doing a stereotype or anything, because it's all so surreal.
Yeah,
it's all so weird. Like, there's a sketch where Vic Reeves plays Barry White, right?
Sorry.
And he blacks up, but you don't even, like, that's not even the most distracting thing about it, because he does a voice, which is mental anyway, but they've rigged up this, like, massive... like this bodysuit thing that he's wearing, right? What respirates realistically, but he's got like a massive belly, but tiny little arms and tiny little legs, and he sings a song about wanting to have sex with a length of copper pipe. So at that point, him being blacked up is the least strange thing about the entire thing, and I think that's why you can kind of get away with it. And I think the Mighty Boosh has the same thing going for it, where it's like he's not doing a black stereotype or anything. He's just doing yet another weird character, only this one happens to be black.
That's basically it, because he dresses up like a fox addicted to crack cocaine in a later episode.
The crack fox.
Noel Fielding is the Moon, who's like mentally challenged. And this guy who's in the middle of a desert or a jungle, who has a door in his hair, which birds pops out of, just happens to be black. And it's like, he's not portraying black people negatively. It's just, this guy's just so fucking weird, because the rest of the world is so fucking weird.
And it's kind of an
homage. I wouldn't advise
to...
people at home saying like, well, I'm going to dress up like him for Halloween. No, please don't.
Yeah, not okay.
But like, if you want me to point out like severely incriminating racial stereotyping in films and TV, I could do a lot worse than saying, well, look at the Mighty Boosh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not.
I mean, and like, it is weird though how people do have these hang-ups of like, oh, you can't yellow up, you can't black up, and yet there are certain stereotypes people are just like, oh, I don't care about that one. That's fine. Like, because if you're going to have a go at the Boosh for having Julian Barrett black up, Noel Fielding browns up and plays a Mexican guy in the same thing, and yet no one goes, oh, he's playing a Spanish stereotype. No one gets the knickers in twist about that, and it's like, well, hang on. Yeah, he's got like a 9-penis Mexican guy on the like. And to be fair, like, his is a bit of a stereotype, because Spider Dijon, he is a greasy bastard, isn't he?
Yes.
And that is a proper stereotype. Like, but people don't. I don't know. I remember reading a Cracked article years ago about like the 5 forms of racism that are still weirdly acceptable, and it pointed out the only one that springs to mind or something is like, you know, how Irish people, they're still fair game. They're all drunkards with a pig under their arm. You know, they love a fight. They love a fight. They do. Like, why is that acceptable? It's not. That is as bad. It's an entire country of people.
I once made a video about that, like, about cultural appropriation. Like, fine, I get, like, dressing up like stereotypes for Halloween as a costume is bad. I get that. But saying, like, oh, I'll wear a kimono, and then people going, like, you can't wear kimonos. And then the Japanese are like, oh, I fucking love you, Japanese, not Japanese Americans or Japanese Europeans.
I hate
They're
those
like,
fuckers.
I fucking love selling kimonos. Oh, I love that our culture is outside of our country.
I actually saw a debate on Twitter the other day. Somebody I follow was saying they were going to buy a kimono, and some guy responded being like, fuck kimonos. Kimonos are all hat. You want to, I can't remember what it's called, some other style of Japanese dressing gown. Be like, they're so much more comfortable. Fuck kimonos, man. I was like, whoa. How woke is this conversation?
But then, yeah, you have, like, St. Patrick's Day, and fine, I get why it might be somewhat of a thing in England, but why the fuck is it all the way over across in America? Why the fuck is everybody going like, hoity-toity-toity, I'm Irish, kiss me, ah ha ha, wearing all green, getting fucking shit-faced, pretending they love Guinness? Because if you like Guinness, that's fine, but I don't like Guinness. It's pretty shit.
I love Guinness. There are Irish Americans. That's fine. They should be allowed to have it. But
they're not the ones celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
You know when they dyed the river green in Boston? Fuck off. Boston hasn't been Irish since the fucking 1700s. Fuck off. He's at you.
I have several photos of Asian families, don't ask me why, who came to Holland to have a photo taken of them in stereotypical Holland farmer garb, in a stereotypical farmhouse with Delft blue plates. Do you know Delft blue plates?
I don't know.
We'll discuss this a little bit later on. With, like, cliched thingamabobs in the background, holding clogs and wheels of cheese.
Yeah, because I was going to say this when we're about the Irish. I was going to say, I mean, well, you must know. I mean, everywhere you go, people must come up to you, being like, "Oh, that is crazy, yeah." It's not as if you don't go around all day wearing clogs, smoking homebrewed hashish, living in a windmill underwater, fucking,
This is how conversations go when somebody discovers I'm Dutch. Oh, you're from Holland. Humour them and say, yeah, I'm from Holland. The next question is always, do you live in Amsterdam? As if the entire country fits in one city. Like, you don't go to anybody who's from England like, do you live in London? No, well, no.
Unless you're American.
Yeah, probably. So it's like, the next question is always like, oh, do you live in Amsterdam? No. Oh, man, if I lived in Holland, I know what I would do every day. I'm like, shock me. Oh, man, I'd be like, smoking weed every day. I'm like, really? If you were living somewhere where something was readily available for you all the time, you would always be continuously doing it. Are you drunk at 7 o'clock in the morning? No. Why? Because you can buy beer at any time you want, so you can drink beers at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but that's different. I'm like, how is weed different from beer? You smoke weed for recreational purposes most of the time if you're not medicating. So why the fuck would you be smoking weed all fucking day?
You're right. It's exactly the same as, like, I've got family that live at Blackpool at the seaside, and when I was a kid, when we used to go visit them, that was the best thing in the world to me. But to them, that was just where they lived. So they never went to the beach or the arcades. It's exactly the same, isn't it, really?
I lived in Bournemouth for 5 years, yes, you know, B. And I lived roughly 10 minutes, 15 minutes away on average. And I didn't want to be caught dead at the beach most of the time, because when it's nice weather, everybody fucking else is there as well. It's busy as all fuck. I don't want to be bothered by other people. I'd rather go to the park that's like half a mile away from my house and lie there because nobody came there.
Every time there's a heatwave in Britain, the Sun newspaper has like little snapshots of like, here's pictures from like Northampton, Southampton, Newcastle, like, people like enjoying the sun, but there's always like a 2-page spread of Bournemouth Beach, and it's always a load of women with their tits out. Because it's the sun. There is always one woman at least in sort of, in the spray in the ocean with her knockers out, and it's always got like a big red, like 36 degrees, Bournemouth in the corner. And I always think,
it's fucking hot.
I always think, well, they paid her to be there.
I live very close to the pier, and I never wanted to go sit near the pier. I always wanted to be like, let's go a little bit more further that way, because the closer you are to the pier, the closer you are to the parking havens, the closer you are to everybody fucking else. Because nothing ruins your day more than if you're at the beach and suddenly you walk past someone and they're like, hey, I know you. How do you know me? Yeah, you work at the hotel I'm staying at. I'm like, yeah, I had a day off today. Great.
Well, that conversation killed Stone dead.
I must say, I do miss Bournemouth sometimes because it was a lot better for my health to begin with. I didn't have a car. Everything's fucking hilly, and I would just walk everywhere, and I'd be forced to walk up and down hills. And I had huge, toned, muscular legs. I was still fat. I was still fucking fat.
But only from the waist up.
But only from the waist up.
Not from the knee up, like big gelatinous thighs, but like rock hard calves.
No, I'm just